What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm live stream. That's right, another episode of Meet the Family. I'm your host, Howard Bender. And as you can see, the man next to me, brand new to us. He's in seclusion out somewhere. Looks like it could be the woods of Montana, but I don't know. We're going to have to find out from him. It's Sean Mitchell. You can follow him on Twitter at @SMitchell17 is the old Twitter handle there, so make sure you give him a follow. Sean, welcome, man. Welcome, join us. I appreciate you taking the time.
Hey, appreciate it, man. I'm glad to be here. Appreciate you guys having me on. Get to maybe talk a little bit about myself a little bit. So,
right? I mean, that's kind of funny. Not many people really like doing that. They're like, well, we can't talk about sports, man.
I usually don't.
I mean, what I love about this actually, and we were kind of talking briefly right before we started with the live stream, is that you and I really haven't had that, much of an opportunity to interact with each other. You started up last year, football season. You were working there, but you dove right into NBA, and not gonna be shy and say NBA is not my jam. So I kind of stayed away from that. Let Impemba and Grande handle all of that, but so this is an education for me, and for that I thank you. Are you ready for the hot seat?
Oh, let's do it. Born ready. Just had to put clothes.
First of all, where are you right now? Where are you from?
I am in Paragould, Arkansas. It's right around the Jonesboro area. If you might know Arkansas State University, that's about 30 miles from my house. So I've lived here since I was about probably 4 or 5 years old. I was actually born in Lafayette, Louisiana. So my mom's side of the family is from Louisiana. She's a deep Cajun, Southern. And then my father's side of the family was from Arkansas, and we moved up here kind of with him. He traveled a lot for work. He did construction. That's how he met my mom in Louisiana, of course, chasing work. And then, of course, they moved back here whenever all the kids were born. I have a brother. And I'm the youngest. I'm the baby of the family. I'm 32 years old. I got a brother who's 33, and then I've got a couple of sisters. I won't list their age; they might get mad at me. But I have 2 older sisters. So, yeah, got quite a big family.
Okay. The scene that's behind you right now, obviously, it's beautiful. It's picturesque. Is that somewhere near you? Is that what Arkansas looks like?
It's the natural state, baby. I mean, we got rivers all over the place here. Yeah, I love the river. Love going fishing, trout fishing whenever I can. Obviously, don't get a whole lot of time to do that. The nearest river is probably White River, and it's probably about a good 40 to 45 miles away from me. But I guess Spring River's around me as well. So I got a couple different rivers I can go to. Love to go floating, of course, hang out at the river, go camping. That's the serene lifestyle there. So I love that part about Arkansas. It's pretty beautiful.
All right, so you're here in Arkansas. You've been here since about 4 or 5 years old. I'm sorry, did you say southern part, northern part? Which part of Arkansas?
I'm in northeast Arkansas, pretty much up in the very top right corner.
So can we talk Ozark then?
I love it. I'm actually, I haven't got to finish it yet. My wife and I have been. She won't let me watch it without her, and of course, our schedules conflict. She's actually a registered nurse, so she's at work today.
So
she's actually on the front lines, so I got to give her major props. Taking care of people, taking care of the folks out there. Of course, with this coronavirus going around, man, it's nuts. She literally has a routine of she goes to work, comes home, doesn't touch anybody, heads straight to the washer, throws all the clothes in, goes straight to the shower, showers up. I mean, it's a pretty scary ordeal going right now. But yeah, I gotta give major props to her. But yeah, I'm up in the top northeast corner. Right, and again about the Ozark, we're on like episode 5 right now on the 3rd season, and I've been we were gonna watch the rest of it last night, and she was too tired, so I'm still kind of itching at the bit to get back to it. But we've made it about halfway through, and I've liked the first 2 seasons. I thought it's one of the best shows I've seen on Netflix, so still pretty pumped to see the rest of it.
I'm on season 2, like episode 7 right now, so no spoilers, please.
No, not at all.
Don't be a Dan Malin and just spoil things for everybody. Did you hear that? Malin and Hallam, the 2 of them, spoiling Survivor for me on a regular basis. I was like, well, what are we doing here? It's not funny.
What is that? Come on now. Come on now. Everybody knows you don't spoil those kind of shows.
So, your wife's name, by the way, what's her name?
Her name is Mallory.
Mallory. So, I would definitely want to give a huge shout out to Mallory for doing what she's doing. It's unbelievable stuff here, and your kids are young, right? So, I mean,
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
this is definitely a tough spot. Well, we can't thank her enough for everything that she's doing. And you just, running the show at the house right now, making sure that everybody's safe and secure. I do not envy the position there. I'm childless. My wife is, at home with me. So
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah, I got three of the little ones. I got a 5-year-old. I got a 5-year-old boy named Manning. Wasn't named after Peyton Manning or anything like that. That's always the first question I get. So before that comes apart, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Peyton Manning. I love all the Mannings. Maybe not Eli so much, but Peyton for sure. And but we named him that because we just hadn't heard it as a first name very often and thought it was really unique. So went ahead and named him that. I got a 3-year-old daughter who's named Maddie. And then I have my youngest who's going to be turning 2 in November, and her name is Emerson.
Emerson.
So, 2 girls.
I like that. I like that. I like that a lot. Emerson. Listen, I like all the names there. Manning Mitchell. Now this kind of sounds like. He's 5 right now.
Yeah.
Are you teaching him to be a lefty?
No, actually, my middle daughter is a lefty, but he's not. But trust me, whenever he gets old enough to be ambidextrous, hopefully he'll be a pitcher. Of course, I had him out hitting off the tee yesterday, so he's getting good. He's getting better.
Okay. Well, listen. You run a whole mess of the basketball content. What do you think his? I mean, let's talk about. I guess your family genetics. Is there height? It's always so funny when you're on the computer with somebody. You never know how tall or short anybody actually is. I didn't know Jen Piacenti was she's like 5'4". Really? Something like that. Yeah, I thought she was like this 6-foot blonde, but
I thought she was a little taller than that. Yeah.
Where are you at here?
Man, I got the grunt of it. I mean, I was about 5'10". Maybe if I'm lucky on a good day, maybe wear some boots or something. But yeah, I was. The thing is my favorite sport was always basketball. I love playing basketball. Still play it when I get a chance. It was always my first love as a sport. But of course, I was more built for football. I was more of the short and stocky. I played middle linebacker. I played tight end, defensive end. So that was kind of my build through my high school years. Yeah, I could shoot, but of course, as far as the basketball goes, I couldn't touch rim. I was just the white boy that had a good shot. So.
See, I wasn't. I was I'm 5'10" also on a good day. Right. Overweight, no vertical leap, horrible 3-point shot. There was no saving it. There was no saving it at all. I wasn't always overweight as a child, but nevertheless, it just didn't have the height or the 3-point shot.
Right. Yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard.
So growing up in Arkansas, Sean Mitchell, you played, middle linebacker, played sports. Sports always a big part of your life. After high school, was the plan to, continue sports beyond that, or were you thinking about the sports journalism aspect? How'd you get involved with where we're at?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love sports. I played all through, I played everything essentially. The only thing I probably didn't play was soccer or, I played football, basketball. I was in track. I played baseball. But my brother was the stud of the family. He actually was the all-star, all-state running back. He was the big name. I was just kind of the other one. But I kind of wanted to go to college, and I kind of knew that I wouldn't make it in sports. I mean, I loved playing. Of course, it was fun, and I enjoyed it. I knew I would probably be the YMCA rec regular, the hoopster that kind of showed up on the weekends and went out there and showed the young guns how to play. But no, I always enjoyed writing. I had a few writing classes in college, and of course, had really good scores, and all the papers I always wrote were really good. I always excelled in writing and grammar and all that good stuff. So, of course, sports and writing. And then I just got into one day, of course, I write for another website, the Fantasy to Gens. Those guys kind of gave me a shot. They didn't really have an NBA guy at the time, and I needed something else to do, another hobby. So I said, hey, I'll write for you guys. And they brought me on and started that, did that for a couple of years and kind of continued. And then obviously it landed me this too as well. So couldn't be any happier. Enjoying it right now.
And what do you do in the outside world here besides the work that you do at Fantasy Degens and Fantasy Alarm?
Well, my actual occupation, I am a customer training specialist for the largest conveyor manufacturer in North America, which is actually right about 30 miles away from me in Jonesboro, Arkansas. So I've been there for about 4 years. I've actually done a few things there now. I've been in customer service. I actually worked on the floor building the conveyor. I actually was in engineering for a while doing the design work on them. I was actually also in the internal side of doing the training for our new hires, doing the onboarding, all that fun stuff. So been doing that now. Before that, my dad actually owns a small roofing business. So I did that for about 8 years while I put myself through, well, I say I put myself through college. While I went to college and school, he allowed me to, kind of work part-time to get myself through school. So I've always done something physical until I guess I got the job where I'm at now at Hot Roll. And then, of course, that's probably why I've gained about, 40, 50 pounds on the overweight side as well. So now I try to do more of the watching the sports instead of playing them if possible.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. That was always, I had arguments with a girl I was dating before, my wife and I ended up getting back together. You get that whole, I always thought I'd be with somebody who'd like to play sports instead of just watching them on TV. And I was like, you know what? Look at me. Look at me. I mean, come on. You knew this coming in.
Yeah, you knew this before. Yeah.
It's unreal.
I guess I'm as good as one time as I ever was. So that, I can go out there every once in a while and throw out the skills, but yeah, now I just got to watch it on TV and root for the teams.
Right, you're showing some support. You're involved, right? I always pivot back to that speech that Jimmy Fallon gave in the movie Fever Pitch about want to be part of something bigger and something like that. I mean, listen, my wife, she's into sports. She's into she was my little sugar mama through the lean years of freelancing, and she always kind of took care of me on that front. So
there you go. It's a 50-50. It's a 50-50 definitely. I mean, I got to give my wife major props too. She allows me to do this stuff. It keeps me very busy, and I hate to say sometimes it does take away from the family time, but she understands it and she takes up the slack. So I got nothing but props. I know how it goes.
Nice. Very, very nice. All right. So you work in customer service right now. I got to ask you. You get a chance to vent every once in a while. You don't have to get into specifics. Don't throw some names down there. But pretty much the dumbest thing that you've heard coming through on customer service. Like, I mean.
It wasn't actually from a customer, but I had a group of new hires in one day. And, as a part of the orientation that we do when we bring them in before they actually go to work, we kind of, do all the necessary stuff, paperwork and all that good fun stuff that HR usually does. And then we kind of give them a tour of our plant or of our facility. Well, in our facility, we have a bunch of banners that are hanging up in the rafters that show a bunch of our customers, our big name customers, Amazon and all that fun stuff. And, well, one of our customers is Nintendo. And we walked, right under that sign, and one guy says, well, what do we do for them? Well, we build conveyor. That's all we do. So, I mean, it was kind of like everybody just kind of looked at him like, what do you mean? So that was kind of a funny moment. Everybody got a good laugh at that. But, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had a lot of weird run-ins and having customers call. I used to work the night shift as well. I was on third shift. It's not very fun having to tell a customer at 3 a.m. that wants you to come, fix their conveyor at the time that, you can't send anybody right then at that time. And they want you to come and they think that, you can be the guy while you're sitting, however many miles away. I guess let me go hop on a plane real quick. I'll be there in 4 or 5 hours. But, so customer service was fun. You definitely got to have some thick skin, and it definitely takes a special kind of person to be able to be in customer service.
More frustrating at times, customer service for your current job, or the DFS NBA people who just can't seem to grasp lineup construction and hate all your plays?
Oh, well, they go hand in hand. Sometimes I'll be flat out honest that I don't mind to say that my play sucked. I mean, if they did, they did. Lineup construction's tough. I mean, the NBA is harder than it's ever been. I'll be the first to say that. Customer service is a lot like that. I mean, you're always gonna have the one out of the 20 that are not happy with what's going on, or you didn't get to them fast enough, or didn't get them that answer, or whatever. It's just kind of goes with the territory.
Now, I'm curious. You say NBA, it's tougher than it ever was. I mean, let's dive into this a little bit here, because obviously, we're hoping for things to kind of mellow out a little bit. We're hoping for potentially, sports, maybe beginning of July. Is the NBA going to end up, playing any more regular season? Do they just go to the playoffs? But talk to me. Why is NBA DFS more difficult now than ever before? Is it guys sitting out, late scratches? Is that the whole issue?
I think that might be a little bit of the factor. I think it's more of just the competition has gotten a lot harder. The space has grown so much. Whenever I first started, probably 3 or 4 years ago, a lot of the big sites, there wasn't just a whole lot of players on there. It wasn't just real big. Nobody, was just fully joining. But now it's just so mainstream. So many different new players, not just new players, meaning like Rex. There's so many content sites. There's gazillion more than there was, when I first started playing. Right. And it's just the competition's harder. I mean, people are sharp. People are getting way sharper, using all the content that is out there. And a lot of people are doing well. So it's just, you got to kind of roll with the punches. I mean, that's part of it.
What's more difficult, teaching people how to play NBA DFS or homeschooling your kids right now?
Yeah,
this is a safe space. We won't tell Mallory or the kids anything.
Well, hey, I gotta say, my wife's the homeschooler. It's funny, I'm actually working from home at the moment, but she's the one that is real good with the kids. She's a little bit more, I guess, patient than I am, and that's weird because I think I'm more of a patient person than she is at times. But she's really good with that, and she loves doing that stuff. So, I kind of stay in here and do my work, and I kind of let her, of course, the days when she's off, she gets their homework done for them, and, that they're sending home weekly because they are having homework, My son, he's only in pre-K, but he's still having to do stuff for school. So she's real good with that. Again, major props to her. I couldn't do it without her. So I got to give her the props on the homeschooling. That's probably about where I draw the line, I guess.
So is it just me, or is everybody wondering why we don't have Mallory Mitchell here on the
I'm telling you.
on today's live stream, right?
Like I said, she's the better half. I'm just I'm the other part here.
Well, you're the one who knows everybody working over at Fantasy Alarm. You've got the NBA team. Been diving into some. Obviously, I see you all the time in the chat room, and which we love. And so, talk to me here. Sport preferences. I mean, preferences is probably a bad way to put it, but you're locked in here with NBA. Is that your number one sport? Because we've talked already. You did some football work. You're going to do some baseball work when that season eventually picks up, which, by the way, like to do like multi-sport, thank you. Everybody's like, no, I just want to write about football.
I feel like everybody wants to write about football. No, I mean, major props. I mean, the football is a big space, and there's a lot of sharp people in it. I was just glad to be able to throw my hand in there a little bit. I mean, I think that I'm heavenly decent at football. Definitely NBA is probably that's my go-to. It's just something that I've always paid more attention to, followed more closely. I think that researching the statistics on NBA are a little bit more fun for me. I know MLB has a lot of different statistics that go along with it, and that's a big part of why I like the MLB part as well. Just really like research. Actually, my degree was in marketing. It was in marketing management, but I really enjoyed the marketing research and doing stuff for that stuff. Working with data analytics, I think that's just always been more of what I've enjoyed. I enjoy seeing how stuff works and, the kind of running tests on things and seeing how stuff correlate. So NBA has always been a big thing, I think, with correlation. Obviously, seeing what teams do good with so-and-so and what aspects and this and that. And then, of course, with MLB, there's a lot of more, I think, distance stats that kind of make it more interesting to research. So I would say NFL to me is probably, and I hate to say it, but it was probably the more boring side of research for me. I mean, that's just, I guess, how I feel about it. Like I said, I really enjoy the more of the research side of DFS than anything.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as far as football goes, I mean, your experience in the game at least enables you to be able to break it down. Year to year data doesn't hold over for NFL, not with free agency and coaching changes and things like that. So, man, I totally get that. In baseball, I mean, the number of stats that are popping up left and right are fantastic. Did you play fantasy growing up at all?
Really, I didn't. I was actually a big poker player. I still am. I actually was big into the poker boom whenever it went fully online, and was playing since I was about 15. Kind of made up a name on my older sister's account, and played online poker for a few years underage until I was old enough to actually make my own account. So I was really big into poker. Played poker for a long time. Still play it. Love playing it. But one day my cousin said, "Hey, have you ever played on Draft Street?" I think it was what we were playing on back in the day, way back when they had the beat. It was a beat Matthew Berry, I think, or something, or beat one of the main guys on there. Beat him and you get $5 or something. I was like, no, I don't ever play it. So I started jumping on there and just toying around with it. And then, of course, being the competitive nature that I have and not winning fueled me to want to learn a little bit more. And like anything that I kind of pick up and am interested in, I usually give it 110%. If I want to learn something, I'm usually pretty gung-ho on learning it. So after that, I kind of got into DraftKings, which is mainly the software or the platform that I play on now. He was actually winning a little bit of money on there, so of course I was like, well, let me throw my hand in there. And then I started playing, like I said, about 3.5, 4 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, but then I got really into it. So it kind of consumed my life there for a while. Of course, whenever poker went to illegal and you couldn't play in the U.S. anymore, I had to find something else to quench that gambling thirst. So
And I think and that's what I love the most about the story is that when I talk to other guys and even and girls too, Jen Piacenti, and we've done that. All of us, we had our history was in seasonal fantasy. You start off in the poker world, you bring game theory and what about breaking down stats into the DFS world. So, I mean, how long ago was it where you did your very first season-long draft, and what was that like for you?
Honestly, I'll be flat out honest. I've never done a live draft, and I've always kind of wanted to. And it's crazy enough that I can't ever. Obviously, all my friends, a lot of them moved off, or can't get out, or it's hard to get a live draft, and it's hard to get 8 people even to show up at one time in one place. My first draft, I would say, was probably for season long. I should say was probably not but 2 or 3 years ago. I didn't really jump into the season long until I had a couple buddies that I think I started in football. I played 2 leagues. I think in probably 16, 17, something like that, around there. And then I kind of got competitive with them. It was a really competitive league. I had a lot of fun. And then I started doing basketball, of course, whenever I started playing more DFS basketball. Jumped into a couple season-long leagues now, and now I basically do season-long with a bunch of my buddies, and pretty much in all the sports. Don't do hockey, mainly just basketball, football, baseball. So The draft, it gets a lot of fun with a few guys because it's guys from high school, and there's a lot of trash talk. We haven't done anything fun where the loser has to go walk around in a dress or anything. We don't really get all into it, but it's still fun. It still brings a lot of joy and competition with those guys, so it's fun.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why when we started, I didn't start writing fantasy sports until I started playing more heavily. I dabbled a little bit in high school, but it wasn't until I had a rotating poker game in New York, and there were 7 or 8 of us. We played every Sunday night, and we decided one of the guys, his dad, was like, he wanted to start up a fantasy baseball league, wanted to know if we all wanted to jump in on that, and we all said yeah. My now wife, who was the only woman who sat at the poker table back when we did it, we turned to her and we were like, listen, you've got 2 choices. You can either A, join and be a part of the conversation at poker every Sunday night, or B, not join and be left out of the conversation every Sunday night. So she brought it, so she joined as well. But I mean, to start off in the DFS world and then to turn around and jump into seasonal, so you haven't done an auction at all, have you?
I have done a couple auction leagues, and it's really hard. People don't like auction leagues, or I have the few buddies that love it. I actually like it. I think it's great. I love doing the auction leagues. It actually makes you think a little bit more, obviously, a bit more skill, and it's a little bit more fun trying to get people to blow all of their salary before they can get to their really good picks, which we like to get to, obviously on the back end, getting those sleepers and everything. But I love doing the auctions. I've only probably done 2 or 3 actually, and I just can't ever get everybody to agree. And we always do a vote, and we'll 60% will want to do the auction, and then you'll have people, oh, I don't want to do it, And it is time consuming. It can take 2.5, 3 hours, but I enjoy doing the auctions. Love doing the auctions.
Well, I think with the fact that we have Zoom and Skype and Hangouts and all the abilities to do it, now I'm thinking I don't understand why we don't just start doing drafts and just make it a live draft. We could probably actually pull off an auction draft, if not for anything, then to just have that video shown so everybody can see all our reactions. We could do everything software-wise with that. We could do an auction with actual bidding, but somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, my screen froze."
Yeah.
I meant to bid on them. So, but I'm actually now I'm kind of digging on this. I feel like you have so much more to do with drafts now, knowing that it's just 2-3 years. I mean, that's I dig that, because the game theory that you come to the table with is phenomenal for DFS. How are you applying a lot of that to, let's talk about your snake drafts and you're looking through that? Is that just a matter of this guy's got this position covered here and he's not going to do it? How are you applying game theory to a number of your seasonal plays?
I mean, like baseball per se, I'm also big into the don't draft pitchers. I like to play the starts. Usually, for start weeks. I usually just go with power bats and speed. Try to get my my bats, my homers, and try to get my steals first. And try to get in maybe a decent starting pitcher every once in a while before I get to the the 8th, 9th, whatever round. But mostly I go bats first, and then I go with my pitchers. It's just a lot easier for me to play the wire. Kind of the same with NFL. I'm one of those guys that scouts the wire nonstop, and that's what helped me a lot whenever I was working nights. Would be I could scoop up that guy at nighttime when nobody else was looking at it, and then by morning time they're like, oh you SOB, what are you doing up at 3 a.m. getting this guy? Well, you got to be on your game. Early bird gets the worm. So I feel like I'm definitely a wire type player as far as season long goes. I like to play the waiver wire quite a bit. We'll do 5 times the amount of moves as a regular person. That's just kind of how I go. And then I like to let it ride a lot. And, I just kind of trust the intuition, where a lot of people want to just make moves just to make moves. I don't feel like I do that just to do it. So that's kind of the strategy that I play.
So how do you deal with leagues where it's not first come first serve waivers, that you're actually having to deal with like a fab budget? Are you in the did you do the Great American the Great Fantasy Baseball Invitational?
No, and I'll be honest, I have not done an FAB budget yet. I have not been in the league with FAB. It's all been waiver wire. So it's all been, with the waiver wire list. And to be flat out honest, I rarely even look at the waiver wire to see where I'm at. I'm more of a, I feel like I get the players that most people are not thinking of at the time that I feel like might be beneficial in the week or two, in the future. And of course, a lot of them bust, but a lot of them tend to do well. So I'm usually the one that nobody's putting the wagers on. Nobody's getting their waiver out there on. And it's worked out really well. Finished first and second out of 3 leagues last year in football. I didn't do very good in baseball last year. I think I got 5th or 6th. I missed the playoffs by like 1 or 2 games. Basketball, I was first seed all the way through. I actually got beat by the 4th seed. Gotta love that in the playoffs. Happens, but I feel like season long has been good to me the last 2 years.
All right. Do you prefer the head-to-head format to a straight roto format like you usually use in baseball?
I don't mind either. I don't guess I really have a preference. I don't mind either. I feel like I like both. I think they both have their own skill sets that you kind of have to have or pay attention to whenever you're playing both. I do like head-to-head. I think it's just a little bit easier. Of course, a little bit easier for everybody. But roto's not bad. I don't mind either, to be honest.
You prefer DFS to seasonal still?
Absolutely. That's pretty easy. I play season long just to kind of keep the league going. Obviously, the research part of it again is always fun for me, and just as you mentioned, a lot of what you do in DFS correlates into what you do for season long too. So I feel like they both kind of play off of each other, and that helps you in season long, I think, by playing DFS.
All right. Well, I might just have to put you in charge of like Fantasy Alarm like leagues, where we can put together. What we can do is we can do like a seasonal draft, but then set up a seasonal league on DK also, so that we can see and kind of put back and forth here. Who's the battle between old school, new school, DFS versus seasonal, and who's taking championships home in both?
Don't tempt me with a good time.
Well, we might have to do. Listen, I think again, it's kind of funny because with people that I talk to in this industry all the time, most people who I talk to, and literally, I'd say you and maybe 2 or 3 other guys who I speak with are the only ones who started off in DFS and then branched into seasonal and are still kind of, I'm not going to say learning the ropes, but I mean, let's face it, it's a whole different animal than what you're dealing with in daily versus seasonal, from prep work to drafting to in-season maintenance, DFS.
Definitely, like you said, the last part there with the maintenance of the grind of season long, I think that's where a lot of people fall off. You have those teams every year that, the people quit playing after 3 or 4 weeks. They lose, 4 or 5 games in a row, 4 or 5 weeks in a row, and then they basically just quit on their team. Those are the ones, of course, you get to take the full advantage of. The guys who grind it out all season, of course, usually those are the people that end up in the playoffs. I mean, that's what I enjoy about the season long. I do like the grind. I've always enjoyed the grind. But, yeah, if I got to pick, it's definitely DFS. Obviously, daily changes, daily everything, it's a little bit better than the full week-long deals.
Well, we've all kind of strayed away from the whole weekly moves. Like we do weekly moves in tout and labor. Right. And, when we're really all basically at the point of the only reason why we keep it that way is because we're all in like 15 different leagues and a little bit easier. And the in-season maintenance on daily roster moves. But I mean, the rest of the world has pretty much gone with the fact that it's the daily roster moves that you need to do and really to force that grind.
Yeah. And that's, like I said, that's where a lot of people fall off is because they forget to set their lineup that day. And I'll be honest, I'm definitely guilty of that as well. When you have 15 or so leagues, of course, that you're playing, you're going to forget every once in a while. So that is the thing. It's definitely staying consistent. That's the biggest key, is staying consistent, I feel.
So now, all right. So now you're home. You're twitching because there's no DFS. You're twitching because there's no sports whatsoever. I'd say, how are you filling the time? But right now, listen, with 3 kids and a wife who's a registered nurse who's doing amazing stuff. So you pretty much got no downtime for yourself, do you?
No. Again, I am working from home, so I'm doing the regular 8 to 5 here on all the weekdays. And then I'm still, of course, the kids will be home in the afternoons. I'll be taking care of them. They're actually at my parents' at the moment. They decided to take them today and kind of let me work. But other than that, yeah, my time stays pretty filled up. If I'm not, taking care of the kids, giving baths, feeding them, catering to their needs at all times, because that's a job in itself. Really, that's about all I do. I mean, I do my work, and then I take care of the kids, and I play with the kids until they got to go to bed, and then usually it's bedtime for me because I'm wore out by then.
I was just gonna say, so like the fact that you're even in season 3 of Ozark actually blows me away. Like, right. I'm talking to like Ronus and Impemba, and I'm like, so what are we binge watching now? You have like there's like literally nothing for you to binge watch at this point. How many hours of the day do you have? What do you have, like 2-3 hours before you start nodding off on the couch and have to move your ass into the bedroom?
If I even have that much time, I mean, like I said, I might get an hour or two, just of downtime where everything is actually quiet in the house for a few minutes, but that usually doesn't last very long. The kids are at the stage where they love to pester each other, and it's a constant battle with trying to get them to not be beating each other up or throwing something at each other. Or my youngest, of course, is in the stage where she's into everything, so you gotta have an eye on her at all times, or she'll be drinking toilet water or something like that. I mean, so yeah, she keeps me on my heels, and literally with no time to spare until bedtime. And then, of course, like I said, by that time you might get a half an episode in, or one if you're lucky. And then, like I said, we've been waiting to watch the rest of Ozark it's been 3 days, I think, since we started it, and we binge watched it because our kids were, I think it was Saturday, our kids were at her parents', and we literally binge watched like 4 episodes back to back to back. And that's how we got to do it. We got to find that time where we can both sit down and have the time to do it.
Man, had I known that, I would have told you to at least make yourself a sandwich for the live stream. Been like, because you have no lunch hour basically, so you might as well, do it here. So, very much appreciated on that front. Wow. So both parents, your parents, her parents, all nearby here, so you get that nice little daycare help. See, I don't have human children. I've got my dogs. I've got my cats. You've got a dog though, right?
I have a dog. Yep. I have a half German Shepherd, half Lab. She's about a year and a half. She's obviously another part. She loves to pester the kids too, and they're at that age where they don't know how she plays. So of course, they're screaming and yelling at her, and they're always in battles constantly too. So, but yeah, the dog also factors in as well. But yeah, I definitely do have a dog, and she's crazy too.
Man, it's so funny now that I get this, now I'm thinking about, you sending me an email being like, hey man, I'm ready to do some more work. I'm ready to do some. I don't think you are. I'm exhausted just hearing about this, dude. I have listen, whether there's a virus widespread or not, your wife's busy with work. You're busy with work. 3 kids, a dog, in-laws, parents. Dude, I don't know how. I'm seriously, I don't know how you do it. I have no idea.
Time management, I guess that's the only thing I could say. A lot of the times I wake up early and knock stuff out. A lot of times I like to say I stay up late. I'm usually not a person that stays up late. I would much rather wake up earlier in the morning, drink a cup of coffee and get started, than still have my usual night routine where it's kids and then bed for me as well. But yeah, again, I got to give major props to the wife and to both of our parents. I know a lot of people aren't lucky enough to have that. They do help us out a ton. They watch the kids a lot. So definitely got to give major props to both sets of parents as well, because they help us out a lot with the kids.
Man, I just want to come down to Arkansas and hug everybody.
It's a group effort. It's a group effort.
It is a group effort. So let me ask you then. Let's take it outside of the sphere that we're in right now. Like, let's talk about during, we're gearing up for baseball season. You're in the middle of basketball season. You're doing all your work and stuff like that. Like, does your day, if you're working 8 to 5 at your other job, so then what are you starting your day at 5 in the morning?
Sometimes at 3. It depends on what I'm doing in the day. I know during the regular NBA season with the grind, a lot of the times I'm waking up at 3 o'clock to start my research. Usually about an hour for research, and then of course I get ready to pod. Most days I do the podcast for my other site, and then of course while I'm at work on my lunch break or while I'm working, I'm able to knock out articles, write playbooks, write value articles. And then, of course, after work, the grind it never stops. It never stops. But yeah, a lot of the times it's 3 o'clock in the morning or so whenever I'm up and getting prepped, ready to go.
Man, the rest of the team's gonna absolutely hate this, but you're turning into my favorite person at Fantasy Alarm right now. Listen, I'm ready to just turn over the whole hardest working man in fantasy baton to you. I mean, that's tremendous stuff, dude. I'm so glad to hear that, because it's always it's troublesome getting somebody who who's willing to put in that kind of a grind. Did he freeze? Did I freeze?
No, can you hear me?
There you are.
Okay. Oh, my fault. Yeah, maybe a little glitch. Yeah, I mean, I always went by that. If I'm not doing my best and working the hardest, there's always going to be somebody that will. Somebody that wants to beat me out, wants to do better than me. So I'm the biggest preparer in the world. I don't like going into anything, kind of halfway. I don't like going into things winging it or half cocked. I like to be pretty on my game whenever I go into things. So that makes me drive to do better. I mean, just literally do better.
I love that, and it's that kind of an attitude that's going to get you very, very far. In our industry. If that's if there's an end game for you, is your end game is it full time work in the fantasy industry? Is that what the ultimate goal is?
I would love nothing more than to sit around and literally do sports all day, every day. That would definitely be a dream of mine. I mean, that was a big, huge, and it still is. I mean, but that was one of the biggest reasons that I even began writing about sports. It's just always been one of my passions. Of course, I know like everybody else that writes about sports, it's pretty cliche, but it is. It's something that you get fully vested in, and once you kind of get an opportunity like I've gotten now, you just don't let it slip. You kind of let it. You keep running with it. So I would love nothing more than to talk sports all day.
You know what? I need somebody to talk sports all day with. So I'm just going to keep hitting you up over and over again. I mean, listen, let's face facts. It's going to be. I mean, just imagine this. Imagine that July hits, and I was talking with Jim Bowden earlier about this, and he said he was talking to a couple of executives who had kind of given a 4th of July weekend as a potential start it back up kind of thing. Now, if that's going to be the case, and if MLB is looking at that, NBA, NHL, they still have, the tail ends of the season to go and their playoffs. And I think that if it were to start up in the beginning of July, I think NBA and NHL could kind of push their seasons to the point where they play. How many games were left in the regular season for NBA? 20?
Yeah, there weren't very many. I mean, you literally had roughly around 20 games left. So there really wasn't a lot of the season left. And I have heard, rumors of them just playing a few games and then having playoffs, 1-game playoffs. So it'll be really interesting. And it'll be, I hate to say it, but it'll be a really fun time in sports if they all start back up at the same time. because that's something obviously we wouldn't be used to. So that would be pretty exciting.
And what would you do with yourself on a Sunday, knowing that you had, let's say it was like Sunday in September, and you had all day football for like week 2 of the NFL, and at the same time that's going on. Well, I guess if you're going July for the startup,
Right.
then I guess the NBA and the NHL would probably be done before September, around July, August, September. Maybe it would be like the tail end of the playoffs.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so you've got a Sunday. Here you go. You've got Sunday, and you've got the NBA Finals. You've got the Stanley Cup Finals. You've got a full slate of baseball games with a number of doubleheaders packed in there, and you've got a full slate of the NFL.
Right.
All right. How many times do you get up from your couch to go to the bathroom in a 24-hour span? Never.
If you're an online poker grinder back in the day, you kept a Gatorade bottle by your side, or just for the hard times. You get into a big tournament, and you don't want to get you get 5-minute breaks usually every hour or two, but you don't most of the time you just don't want to wait. So you just gotta take the initiative and make for yourself. And like I said, good thing I have 3 computer screens and a couple of TVs, so still be able to watch everything, still be able to do everything, and it'd be great. That'd be paradise.
Right? I can't imagine. Like, I'm just thinking about Labor Day weekend and the start of everything for the NFL in conjunction with everything else that we're going on. Because, I mean, let's face it, there's other tournaments. They're talking about pushing the Masters into the fall if the weather holds up there. They just canceled Wimbledon. I'm sure, I'm sure literally every sport playing, if they can get the opportunity to play it in the fall, probably will. Yeah.
I mean, I could definitely see it.
How many sports can you cover at once, Sean?
As many as I need to. Like I said, the grind never stops. I find time. That's just my motto. You just find the time, All
right. Well, I'll tell you what. The day that an espresso machine shows up on your doorstep from Amazon, you know that Howard's thinking about what kind of sports coverage we're going to need come this fall.
I'll be waiting on that. I'll be waiting on it. Trust me.
So please apologize to your wife ahead of me here.
Yeah, she's going to be the one that, she'll be the one taking the hit on that one. So, but like I said, she'll be all right. She enjoys it too.
You need this for all of this stuff to end. She needs to take a nap for a good week solid.
Yeah, I give her time. She gets her time too. Don't worry. She gets her time.
I believe it. Sounds like the community that you guys have there, the family you've got around you. That's absolutely fantastic, man. I'm very glad to hear that. I'm so psyched to have you as part of the Fantasy Alarm family, dude. I mean, really.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, man. Appreciate the opportunity. I've done nothing but enjoy it since I've been here. The base is great. All the guys and gals that I chat with in the chat, they seem to really enjoy it here. I really enjoy it. I think it's going to only get better.
I think the important thing is, do you get along with Cheyenne Bailey and Mike from Long Island? Those are the two most. You have to get along with the both of them, otherwise it gets a little rocky.
Oh yeah. Shay, yeah, she's a good one. She's always in the chats. She's definitely a big lover of the sports, and you can definitely tell she likes to play in all the season long. She'll be the first one to jump in any league. So give her major props because she ain't ever scared to play with nobody. So got to give her props on that. Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of the people in the chat. I still talk with a lot of them in DMs. I still chat with them, every other day or every day almost. So building those relationships is good. It's fun.
It's definitely fun. And that's kind of what we've always wanted here at Fantasy Alarm. It's the community that we have built. It's the fact that we are as accessible as we are. I mean, I think I made a crazy statement years ago when I was like, I'll answer any question that you throw to me on Twitter. And that's kind of ruined me, but for the same token, though, I think it's also kind of the community that we have has been born out of that. Right. And guys like you and John and James and Fensty and Matt Sells, everybody who brings that energy to the table also brings that kind of welcoming, this is our community and this is what we're all about kind of feel. So I dig it.
Oh, yeah. It's great. A lot of sharp people over here. I got nothing but big respect for everybody on the team, man. A lot of hard workers, a lot of sharp guys.
All right. Well, Sean, I am not going to take you away from the world in which you live right now. I'm sure there's a lot of chaos. I mean, granted that the kids are off with your parents right now, but you got to get your ass back to work, dude. What are you doing talking to me? Sitting around, lollygagging.
And you're holding me from my job.
Tell your boss I'm sorry, but we all needed to know you a little bit better.
I'm glad to be on, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, big thanks to our producer, Matt Sells, for all the work he does. Huge thanks to Sean Mitchell for joining us. And a bigger vote of thanks to his wife, Mallory, for all the work that she's doing. I'm serious, man. I'm serious. Healthcare workers. It's, I mean, listen, it's like first responders back in the day. I mean, when you had to deal with that. So
crazy world we're living in right now. Y'all be safe.
You as well. Hug the family tight. And Sean, thanks so much for dropping in with us today.
Thanks,
that's going to do it for the Fantasy Alarms Meet the Family live stream. We'll be back again tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern. So we'll catch you next time.